Hey guys, it's Joel from guntoter.org. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing our series on the Makasi rifle. Y'all asked for 2 more videos after I did my initial review last week. You asked for a takedown video and you asked for a range video. I was originally going to shoot the range video tomorrow, took the day off from work and everything, but ran into a slight issue, which I will cover here in a minute, so that is probably going to be delayed a little bit, but I can at least get you the takedown video. So we'll start with the lower, and then we'll go to the upper. We'll start with the internals, then we'll talk about the gas system. So the lower, one of the questions I got was, how does the takedown work on this? And I've obviously already taken this apart, mostly because y'all don't need to watch me wrestle with the takedown, because this is still a very, very tight rifle, which is something that's going to come up again here in a minute. But if you look, you see this lever here, and then if you rotate it a little bit, you see that notch right there. When you push the lever up, that moves, and that right there, that is the takedown. If you look on the upper right here, you will see that notch right there. That is actually what that lever interacts with, and that is how the rear of the upper locks in place. So that's all you do. You push up on that, and then you pull it apart. It's the pulling it apart that right now is currently difficult. As far as the front goes, it's just your standard AR takedown pin, so not a big deal. 2 things I mentioned in the previous video. One was that the safety was super tight. It still is, but I did manage to actually take it out, reverse it, and put it back in, because it's one of the reversible strikes where you can go either 60 or 90. It was originally set to 60. I switched it to 90 as part of kind of messing with it. But this right side is still super tight. And I talked to Brigade about it, and they said that, you know, it's Cerakoted. The Cerakote may just need to wear in. I did try 2 different safeties. I tried a standard GI safety from Sons of Liberty, and I tried one of their Q safeties, ambi safeties, and neither of them would actually go on the right side. It would go in on the left fine, it won't go in on the right side. So we'll see if it wears in. If it doesn't, I will be talking to Brigade. I will say, I've talked to Brigade a couple times. One was to ask about some of the compatibility of the different parts, and then talk to them about the other issue that's preventing me from shooting, and then I talked to them about that. And they actually answer their phones and also answer their emails. So, and they were super pleasant when I talked to them. So I will say that I have been very satisfied with the conversations I've had with them so far. So, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that put guns out, and then when you try to actually talk to somebody, you get nothing. But I've been very satisfied with the conversation I've had with them so far. The other thing I was going to talk about is, I mentioned the bolt release. As you can see right here, it's a pretty large paddle right there. Obviously you can also see how it's bent significantly more than a standard AR, which is why you cannot interchange a standard AR takedown with this one, or bolt catch rather, with that. So no, you can't change it out, but as you can see, like, there's a lot to it. Like, they put a lot of effort into making sure that you would be able to get traction on it. So that's the lower. Moving on to the upper, let's talk about the internals a little bit. As you can see, I already have my Romeo mounted on here. I was totally ready to go to the range tomorrow. But you will see here in the back, that little thingy right there. This is what is retaining the recoil spring. So you have to go in, push it in, rotate it 90 degrees, and then very gently guide it out, because this is a dual recoil spring, and if you are not careful, it will launch that spring guide across the room, or at least I've been told. So there is your, come on, focus for me here, guy. There we go. There's your spring. It is a dual spring. And then once you have that out, you can just take the charging handle, and there's a non-reciprocating charging handle, by the way. And that is actually your bolt carrier right there. Like I said, looks an awful lot like an AR, and that's because it's nothing more than a modified AR bolt carrier. They did do a couple things to it. Obviously, the key up here is not a gas key, but it is attached the same way. However, they did cut a notch here. You can see right in there. They did cut a notch. It's kind of reinforced because obviously it's taking force from this direction. So it is not solely screwed on. It's actually got that notch that's helping it out. And then on the other side, you can see the notch right here, and that is where the charging handle interacts with it. I'm not going to take the rest of this apart because it literally comes apart exactly like an AR bolt carrier group. So y'all know how to do that. I'm not going to mess with it. So we'll move on to the gas system. Now the gas system, this is an AR-180 style gas system. It's actually 3 pieces. You have this piece, and this piece, and then obviously your return spring here. So to take this apart, actually it's 4 piece because you've got the actual valve there. So pull this back, move that out of the way. Once that's out of the way, you can pull that off, and then now you can take that off. Voila. As far as the valve here, you can just pop this little retaining clip off, and the valve comes right out. So that's the gas system. And like I said, it's exactly an AR-180 gas system. And then to put it back together, same thing. Align that and get it in. Hold it to the rear. Drop that in. Drop this in. And put it back together, and boom, there's the gas system. The thing that is keeping me from shooting is, if you look on here, let me see if I can get that up where it'll focus. See that hole? That is not a release where the gas comes out. That is actually where a pin is supposed to go, and there's not a pin. I initially noticed it, and I thought that was where, the excess gas bled off, but no, that's actually what this stuff is for. So I went and grabbed my BRN-180 because obviously it's an AR-180. They're very, very similar systems. Noticed that it had a pin there. So I called Brigade, talked to, I did not get his name, but talked to a guy there, and he said, yeah, there's supposed to be a pin. We'll send you one. Or you can send it back, which as far as I'm concerned, I can put the pin in myself. I'm not super worried about that. So I asked him if he could just send it to me and I'll put it in. So I do want to do that before I go to the range, just because right now all it's holding it is 2 set screws, and I really don't think it's going to function 100%. It may initially, but if I start getting into higher round counts, I don't think it's going to function 100%. So I'm going to start getting, issues, and it's not really going to be a fair review if I'm shooting a gun that's not actually in the condition it's supposed to be shot. So some other little kind of things I noticed that I would like to see changed, and this is just kind of my opinion. If they were to make a mod 2, this is what I would like to see. One is, as you can see when I hold this up like this, the gas block sits really far inside the handguard, and if you see it reassembled, it sits really high up in the handguard. So you cannot access it from the side. The only way you can access it is from the front. Well, I mean, that's 3 or 4 inches right there. That is not going to be easy to do with stuff you're carrying around on you, right? Like, most people are not going to carry around a screwdriver for the sole reason of adjusting this gas block. So I would really love to see either a longer gas system, like maybe go to like a mid-length gas system, or I really think they probably need to put an access point somewhere in here, like cut it out like Brownells did with their BRN-180, just because it's going to make it a lot simpler for someone to get to that valve and adjust it. And like I said, it only has 2 positions. It has suppressed and unsuppressed. So chances are you're not going to be flipping it that often, but still, I mean, to me, that's a big deal that you can't access it easily, especially for something that looks like it's supposed to be, kind of a duty style firearm. The other thing I'd really like to see is you see the 2 screws here. So you've got 2 screws that ride in these notches, and that is how the handguard is secured to the upper. They are just bolted into the aluminum on the other side. I would love to see a steel, I don't care whether it's just a nut on the other side or whether they build, something purpose built that holds it in there. But I would really love to see steel going into steel on the other side. Just kind of a personal opinion, but I think it would make it a little more durable long term. Yeah, it really depends on what they want to do with it, right? Like if they're just selling this as a fun gun, maybe you don't need it. But if you're selling this as something that someone might use for duty or for something else, it's just kind of my opinion. I would like to see the steel on steel on that. Take that for what it's worth. But hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sorry if it was a little weird as far as the focusing and stuff. I've never really done a video like this, so this is kind of a first time thing. So I appreciate you sticking with me. Hopefully it gave you what you were looking for as far as insight into how the gun operates, how the gun is taken down, and hope to see you again next time.